Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of video games. We cover all kinds from the mainstream to the indie, so I hope you enjoy your stay, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. In Mordona, a woman named Ko, who's a member of the group Noah, sees the Warrior of Light wandering around, and despite the fact that she knows you're always busy, she bets that you still make time to help the members of Noah with one project or another every now and then. The Warrior of Light admits that that's actually true, which the woman is happy to hear. Granted, the woman isn't exactly the same person you had talked to when you had first set out on your trip into the Crystal Tower forever ago. Ko had touched an orb she had found in the tower, and it held the essence of the Allegan Archmage who just so happened to share the same name as the one G'raha had given to your group. It's not like she forced herself into the woman. Ko had agreed to let the mage in, and she's perfectly fine letting her use her body to study the modern world as long as she wants. She's actually in the middle of working on something, and you might actually be the perfect person to help her with the project, which is a surprise to absolutely no one, because Rambrose talks about your adventures with the Scions all the time. Noah has heard about quite a few of them, but the one she's focused most on is how G'raha Tia ended up getting woke up a lot earlier than he originally planned to, and how Fandaniel was actually a Mon. The Warrior of Light's been involved with some mind-blowing stuff, and Noah wants to add to that list. She'll explain the job after you call G'raha Tia and get him to meet the two of you over at the 8 Sentinels. She would have called him herself, but even someone as nice as G'raha would have probably hung up on her if a strange woman claiming to possess the soul of an ancient Allegan called him. Then again, with him loving all things Allegan, he probably wouldn't have. Either way, when the Warrior of Light calls him and tells him about Ko and Noah's slightly weird body-sharing situation, he immediately drops what he's doing and rushes over. Noah's happy that he's coming, but she didn't mean for him to just drop everything so fast. Her request isn't exactly life or death or anything, but it'd be rude if you asked him to meet you somewhere and you turned up late. So Noah heads off to take care of a few pressing issues while the Warrior of Light makes her way to the 8 Sentinels. G'raha manages to get there before Noah does, mainly because he didn't want to miss the chance to talk to the ancient mage. She's not the first supposed to be dead Allegan that you and your group have come across, but she's likely the first one who won't try to kill you, at least not directly. The fact that her request has something to do with the Crystal Tower means death may still be very possible. When she does finally show up, the first thing she wants to see are G'raha's Allegan eyes, which won't be hard to get a clear look at since he's staring really hard at the new clothes the woman decided to dress Ko in. The body she's using is good at research but not so much at magic, so Noah had to go and get the right gear, which makes sense. I'm pretty sure that she didn't have to change the woman's hair for that though. She got the gear from Rowena, which means when Ko gets her body back, she'll probably be poor because nothing from Rowena comes cheap. The whole point of this little gathering had nothing to do with clothes though, so G'raha wants to know why exactly the woman needed the two of you. That actually requires a little bit of a history lesson to understand. When the Allegan Empire was at the peak of its power, a lab was made underneath the Crystal Tower. That's where they worked on the Emperor's most secret projects, namely things like cloning, resurrection technology, and the machines that can control icons. Even a prototype of Dalamud was made there. There were a lot of other projects, all greenlit by the royal family, and the Emperor named the place Eureka Orthos. That little tidbit of information comes as a surprise to G'raha because the island where the Warrior of Light and Kral spent a lot of time exploring was named after that very place. The legends had said that Eureka Orthos was a gigantic maze that held a very powerful weapon at its center. The legend is actually true, sort of. One of the main things that the scientists of Orthos worked on were top-level weapons, and they succeeded in making some because the Allegans were geniuses. So much so that Noah is pretty sure that the Calamities didn't do any damage to Orthos. She knows exactly where it is, and how to get inside. She can teleport the three of you there, and G'raha's royal blood will open the gate and let you in. Noah really wants to see the place where she came up with the technology of putting her essence into other objects. And that's why she wanted the Warrior of Light's help. She wants you to explore the place and draw its secrets out into the modern era. The thing is, when you started fiddling around with the Crystal Tower, you would have activated the security systems of Orthos and released all of the unfinished experiments that were stored there, which means they're all just wandering around on the loose and quite dangerous. She wants you to deal with them and make your way down to Eureka's 30th floor. G'raha wants to tag along, but Noah won't let him. His connection to all things Allagan makes him too close to the Empire for what Noah is trying to accomplish with this mission. She wants someone who has a neutral view of the Allagan Empire to see their greatest laboratory and determine if they actually did good work for the betterment of society, or if they were just mad scientists who like to pull the wings off of dragonflies. Because the prospect of pain, suffering, and death makes the Warrior of Light all tingly inside, she accepts the mission. There's also the added incentive that lets her keep whatever she wants from the place, which makes taking the job that much easier. Since she agrees, G'raha and Noah open the way into Eureka Orthos. Even though he can't go inside, Noah promises to let him know when you make it back so he can hear about everything you saw. After getting together a few members of the Sons of St. Quinnock to help with this not-so-little expedition, Noah gives you some special armor that will counteract the wards that were put into place to weaken all intruders. Without the armor to counter the wards, the Warrior of Light wouldn't have been strong enough to lift her own sword arm, let alone fight. Ko also had a device that can make clones instantly. They're not the most sophisticated clones, but they're good enough to be useful in a fight. With that done, you're as prepped as you can get for your trip into Eureka. When Noah said that the Allagans had all types of experiments going on in the place, she meant that literally. There's everything from void scent to weird robots, but the most unexpected thing is waiting for you on the 30th floor. On that floor, there's a prototype of Dalamud, and it has a whole Tiamat clone inside of it. It's strong, but having faced off against actual members of the First Brood, it's not even close to the same level. Once the fake Tiamat is dealt with, the Warrior of Light heads back outside to tell Noah about the experience. She's not surprised that you survived the experience considering all of the other stuff you've been through, but she's eager to hear about the trip. But since she promised that she would, she waits for G'raha to make it back before she lets you tell the story. After talking about all of the things that you came across and killed on your journey, G'raha has to admit that the Allagans had made even more crazy stuff than he had imagined, especially when it comes to the Tiamat clone. When Emperor Zand had tried to invade the southern continent, that was when he first faced off against the dragons. They were so strong that he had his people working on finding a way to control them. After they had captured Tiamat and her kids, that moved their dragon controlling experiments forward. They made a lot of clones of them, and they used those clones to perfect their technique needed to use Bahamut to power Dalamud. Noah is pretty sure that to an outsider, the things that were done in Eureka Orthos would make the entire Allagan Empire look bad. But with her having been there and knowing why the place was built in the first place, she wants you to know that the Empire's experiments were done for the most part to make sure their people survived. And while the Warrior of Light may think they went too far in some areas, every single group of people have bent nature to their will, clearing out forests to make cities that displace the people and creatures who lived there before, redirecting rivers to help grow crops in some areas while causing the animals and the people who had built a life based on the river's previous path to die. It's all done to better society, and Allagan science was no different. Some people like Amon were just nuts, but others were truly trying to make the world a better place. So in the end, the Warrior of Light doesn't see the Allagans as good or evil. They were just people who did both good and bad things like everyone else, which is what Noah was hoping you'd think. That still doesn't answer the question of why she wanted you to go into Orthos in the first place. Why send you to clear out a sealed lab that nothing could ever escape from? Everything there would have eventually died on its own. But Noah wanted to show someone what was there before it all faded away. She had wanted the knowledge that the researchers had gathered to live on, mainly because her students had put their all into their work. Those students were Unai and Doga, the same ones who came into the Crystal Tower with you. They had let themselves be cloned so they could serve the Empire forever, and she wanted the world to know what they had worked for. That was all. This was no world-saving event, she just wanted to honor the memory of her students and their contribution to their homeland. And now that she's done it, she lets the Warrior of Light know two things. The first is that there are more places like Orthos that the Allagans had made that are scattered around the world, which means you could have quite a few more mysteries to uncover. And two, the 30th floor wasn't the bottom of Orthos. There are 70 more floors, and those hold the more dangerous experiments that Noah recommends that you leave alone. But we all know that the Warrior of Light could never pass up the chance to face death if it means a new adventure. This concludes the story of Eureka Orthos. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.